Hey everybody, I'm gonna hit record now. You ready? Hello and thank you for stopping by the Stuff I Heard podcast. I am your host, Joshua Peak. Hello. Today is Saturday, November the 10th. November the 10th is very important to me for a couple of reasons. I was in the Marine Corps from 1994 to 1998, and the Marine Corps birthday just happens to be on November 10th. The Marine Corps was started in 1775 in a tavern in Tun Tavern, Pennsylvania. It's kind of a big deal. Also, it just so happens to be my youngest brother's birthday. Hi, Alex. Alex is 12 years younger than me. Imagine being 12 years old and you finally have a brother. I mean, I wanted a brother to play with, but I was 12 and he was a little guy. Well, he didn't stay little forever. He got big. He got big fast, actually. He was a very tall guy. Growing up, he was always way bigger than the kids that were his age. And now he is 6'4". He's a big human. And he has little humans of his own. He has kids. My brother, I just talked to him on the phone not long ago, was having sort of a friends and family birthday party thing up there. He lives in Greer, South Carolina, and his wife, Michelle, is so nice, and she sent me a text message earlier in the week and said, hey, I know you guys are busy, but if you could make it, that would be great. And it just so happens that with our situation of the fridge dying, we had our new fridge being delivered today. Well, today is the day. The old fridge is out. We're getting a new one. About time. And I had to be here to make sure that it got taken care of the right way. Plus, once it got put in place, I needed to go get groceries, and we just happened to have our grandson today. We had Jackson with us. So, I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I'd like to, but I can't. And I told him pretty much the same thing. And I'm pretty sure he knows that I love him to death, and I would be there if I could. I'm impressed with the person that he has become, with the man that he has become. I get asked this question a lot about what does it mean to be a man? You know, when do you know you're a man? And I have a lot of different answers. For some people, it's sometimes, I phrase it differently for different people, because to me, if you have to ask yourself, then you're not. If you broadly stroke tell everybody you're a man, then you're not. If you put others' needs ahead of yours, you probably are. If you do what's right even when you don't feel like it, you probably are. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, that make a man a man. And one of those things is deciding that you have to do the hard work when you don't want to. You have to show up when you don't want to. You have to put aside what you want for what's right. Does that make sense? I deal at work a lot with younger people because I am a trainer. At my job, I take new employees and I help teach them how to do what I know how to do. And I get to talk to them, and part of me talking to them is getting to learn who they are, what they're about, and kind of how their brain works, what they're thinking of, and what motivates them. And I work alongside them so that they know that I'm not just somebody who's, bossy and doesn't know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be beside them and I'm going to help them. And I've kind of raised our three sons the same way. Anytime there's been a task to do, I've said, hey, listen, we have to do this. And I'm going to help you, but you're going to help me. And we're going to do it together, and in the process, I'm going to teach you. Because I feel that's the right way to learn. You want to set the example. You want to be the one that shows them what hard work looks like. And that it's okay. If you make a mistake, it's okay that mistakes happen. Some people make a mistake and they have a meltdown, or they can't seem to wrap their head around, what do I do next? It's important for you to be human in the process. but also to have an ultimate resolve of, I am going to get this done. That's what it means to be an adult. No matter what task you're given, you're going to finish whatever it is you started. And maybe that's just I'm sure it's just my opinion. I'm sure it's just my way of looking at the world. A lot of it has to do with the fact that my mom had a lot to do with raising me. My mom is a goal-oriented person. My mom does not take defeat at all. She says there is a thing you can do it. And she's right. There's no reason that you can't put forth effort if it means that you get off of your butt and make something happen. Now, here's where that gets complicated. Not everybody thinks that way. I thought everybody thinks that way, but apparently not everybody thinks that way. My first wife, who shall remain nameless, my first wife, when I met her, she was a go-getter. She was the kind of person who, in school, she ran track, she played in the orchestra, she had a job, she volunteered, she wasn't doing an internship. She seemed very goal-oriented and very motivated to not let anything settle underneath her. That she wanted to go, she wanted to do, she wanted to be. And that's inspiring, because that's exactly who I am as well. I was directionless, which is probably why I joined the Marine Corps at 20 instead of 18. But something changed. At a certain point, she decided that she didn't want to do anymore, and she basically started telling herself she couldn't. And I don't know why. I don't know what happened to make her change her mind on that, or whatever broke in her brain to make her not want to do anything anymore. But it was very hard for me to accept, especially since the fact that I had joined the Marine Corps and we got married and we had a kid, and I'm in the wheelhouse of the Marine Corps also with the mentality of you must overcome your obstacles. You are only as strong as your weakest link. These mantras were in my head, and when I came home I looked around my house and I thought, hey, this person who's supposed to be my spouse, my equal, my other half, my other component of my life is my weakest link. And how do I make her stronger? How do I motivate her? And I tried a lot of different things to motivate her. I tried to help her a lot of ways. But to be honest, I wasn't the nicest person. I was pretty rude. I was pretty awful. We were not a good couple together, which is why it didn't work out. But I have raised 3 boys, my stepson and my 2 kids, and they've all turned out different. And even though they're our kids and I've had a direct impact into teaching them, none of them turned out like me. None of them turned out to have the same drive or the same motivation or the same unwillingness to quit anything. My son Draven is very motivated. He seems limited by he says he has a knee problem that needs surgery. I don't know if this is accurate. I don't know the information per se. A while back he told me that he hurt his knee playing football, and he had tried to go in the Army, and apparently he says that the Army sent him home because his knee was bothering him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how real that is. They say that every story has your opinion, their opinion, and the truth. I think the truth is somewhere kind of in funky land there. He says his knee still hurts. He's 23 now. You know, if he was making it up, it's a long time to make up a story. But he chased his dream. His dream was to play video games professionally, like for a job, as a job. And he was very good at playing like first-person shooter games. And so he followed his dreams. He moved out with a bunch of friends out to the Seattle, Washington area. And he worked at a sandwich shop that he can walk to. And they have a part-time schedule just so that they can schedule time together as a group to play video games as a team. And I guess it makes him happy. Every time I talk to him, he sounds fine. He sounds happy. He sounds like, it's all right. I'll figure it out. Which I guess is my personality. My personality is, I'll figure it out. Whatever it is, I'll figure it out. So, maybe in some weird way he did take after me. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad quality. I get told at times that I'm polarizing because I do push people and I do expect things out of people more than they give me. And that may be true. I love my mom, but in a way my mom is kind of polarizing sometimes because she does push people. And people don't like to be pushed. Sometimes you just want to not do everything. But, you know, mom's a hit the ground running kind of person. Even though she has rheumatoid arthritis, she still wants to hit the ground running. She's supposed to be at retirement age, and yet she is still in the peak of her professional career. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now with my kids. My youngest son is, how should I put it, lazy. Just like his mom. Living with his mom. Doing nothing with his life. Wasting his life. I have no way to get in contact with him other than calling his mother, and I really don't want to talk to his mother. And where they live, their phone connection is terrible. They only have cell phones, and their cell phones cut off every third word you say to them. He doesn't have email. He won't answer his emails. He doesn't have Facebook. He's just sort of breathing and eating groceries right now. That's not living. That's a sad existence, in my opinion. You know, I see guys go out and achieve things, and when they achieve things, they have a greater sense of worth. When they do things, you know, I hear people say all the time, talking about their jobs, that they feel like they don't actually do anything. They don't actually create change. They don't affect anything. And at my job, that's not the case. At my job, you physically start off with a full truck of groceries, and at the end of the day, your truck is empty, and you've delivered all those groceries yourself. And you can look back at it, and you can go, wow, I did that. This morning, I looked at it and thought, there's no way I'm going to get this done. And now, I did it. Good job, me. You know, and I get the fact that not everybody's brain is wired the same way. You know, we need diversity. We need different trains of thought to solve problems and to appreciate things. You know, I mean, let's face it, if we were all the same, we would drive each other crazy. One of my favorite, I guess you'd call it folk stories, or is it a folk story? Frankenstein? One of my favorite stories is about Frankenstein, a giant monster who just wants to play with a little girl and look at the flowers. You know, he's a big scary monster. Everybody wants to burn him. He just wants to play with flowers. Frankenstein's monster. It wasn't actually Frankenstein. Frankenstein was the doctor. I get that. Anyway, I know some of you are going to write me and be like, actually, you know, Frankenstein. Yeah, I get it. You're right. Thank you. Appreciate it. If anybody knows what Frankenstein's monster was actually named, was it Frank? Let's call him Frank. That's what they do on the Transylvania movies with Adam Sandler and Kevin James. Kevin James plays Frankenstein. They call him Frank. Hey, Frankie. Yeah. But yeah, if anybody knows his real name, let me know. I'm kind of curious. So today, I got up at 3 a.m. Now there's a problem because 3 a.m. is way too early for most people. But 3 a.m. happens to be normal for me. I got up at 3:30 Friday for work, and I went to bed around 9-ish last night. I took some NyQuil because I've been fighting this cold. You guys probably heard on the last podcast I was coughing during part of it. I'm sorry. If I coughed in your ear, I really apologize. That was very rude of me. But also, I couldn't help it. Just like I couldn't help waking up at 3 a.m. this morning feeling like I was drowning and had to turn over and cough and eventually go in the bathroom and cough. And then I thought, I'm going to wake up my wife. I need to go in the living room and cough. But also, I had a goal. I did want to wake up early this morning because I wanted to smoke a pork butt on my Gorilla Grill silverback grill. I have a pellet smoker, and I cooked one the last time Dad and Trish were here for 9.5 hours. I had started it off on low, and then during the day I was worried that it wasn't going to get finished by dinner time, so I turned it up a little bit higher, and I finished it off a little bit hotter than normal. I was concerned about that, and I wanted to try and cook it on low the entire time. So I figured that 9.5 hours rushing it, sort of semi-rushing it, you know what I mean? Like, I think I did like 7 hours at 180, and then the last little bit I did at like 300 to kind of speed up the process. I wanted to cook it this time all at 180 the whole time, and I figured it was going to take about 12 hours. It turns out I was right. Now, I was right and I was wrong, and I'll explain. I put it on at about 3:30 this morning because I got up and prepped it, all that stuff. Started up the grill. I had it on the grill at 3:30, and while it was cooking, I noticed a tremendous amount of smoke all of a sudden. And I was like, why is there a lot of smoke? Like, way no more than normal. It is a smoker, and it does smoke normally, but there was a tremendous amount of smoke. And this was probably at about 6 a.m. And I went out there to kind of see about it. I was like, what's going on here? And all of a sudden, this whoosh came out of it, and a flame shot out around the door, and the door opened and closed. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Now, this is not a propane thing. It's plugged into the wall. It has an electric auger that turns this wheel that burns a little tiny flame at the bottom where these pellets drop in, and it heats the pellets. I am guessing that somehow fat has gotten into the sides, because it has a drip pan that the meat sits over. Somehow fat has gotten around that and gotten in the bottom, and that fat is catching on fire underneath. And I've got to clean it. Now, I didn't want to clean it at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was extremely dark and cold, and the wind was blowing, and I thought, well, let's just let this burn off with the lid off. I'll open the lid, I'll let this fat burn off. I unplugged it, that way it would stop feeding a fire to it. Because with every fire you need three things. You need a fuel source, you need fire, you need oxygen. Well, I figured if I take the heat source out of it and just have the fat as the fuel and the oxygen, it'll burn up the rest of it, and then once that's gone, I can restart it. So I left the lid open, I unplugged it, and I kind of let it do its thing for about 30 minutes. It took about 30 minutes to burn, but once it burned, I was like, okay, now I can start it back. And I started it back, and it did fine for about maybe 5 more hours, 6 more hours. And then it did it again. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And my buddy Greg has a Traeger pellet grill. He's the reason I bought this thing in the first place, is talking pellet grills with him and using Frank's RecTech. I wanted to try this thing. So I called Greg, and I knew that Greg was probably sleepy because I saw on Facebook that he is a nurse practitioner and a lead singer of a 90s cover band, and they had a show last night. So you figure he went to work, worked all day, and then got off work and then took off to the show, helped them set up, sang for probably 2 hours, 3 hours, and then helped them pack up and finish up the night. And I thought, he's gonna be sleepy. He probably didn't get to bed till, who knows, 3 or 4 a.m. and he normally is in bed early. So I called him up, I want to say it was like noon today, and I was like, hey man, how was the show? And he's like, oh, it was good, I said, cool man, I didn't want to call too early because I figured you'd be sleepy. He's like, yeah. He said, actually, we're on the road, we're heading to do another show tonight. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, we're heading to Florida. We're doing a show down in Florida. I was like, really? So 2 shows in 2 nights. That's pretty cool. But I told him what had happened with the grease fire thing, and I asked him, I said, have you ever had this happen? He said, actually, no, I haven't. He said, but Frank has with his RecTech, and he actually had to clean it out before he could use it again because it kept catching on fire. And I thought, okay, well, that's something I'm going to have to do. So I kind of made a game time decision. I was like, you know what? This thing has got a good color bark on it. It looks like it's mostly done. I had a digital thermometer in it, and it was registering at like 150, and I wanted to cook it to 180. And I thought, you know, I can just take it off the grill now, make a envelope out of aluminum foil, and put it in the oven at 180, and continue cooking this thing with no problem, like nothing else had happened, you know, and then turn this off and clean it whenever it gets cooled off. So that's pretty much what I did. I took the meat off, put it in aluminum foil. I left the thermometer probe in it. I have like a remote thermometer probe that tells me what it is. That way I don't have to keep sticking it. And I let it do its thing in the oven. Now, I let the grill cool off, but as the day progressed, I was getting really sleepy because, again, I'd gotten up at 3 a.m. and I'd gone to Walmart and got groceries, and so I was tired. And dealing with this cold too, I'd been taking antibiotics. I was getting pretty drained. We have our grandson here. I've been playing with him, and I'm just like, I need to rest. So once I got the meat out, I cooked the meat. Once I got the meat out of the oven, I wrapped it up and put it in a cooler to rest, and put some towels around it. You know, that kind of helps. The meat continues to cook a little bit inside of itself, and all the juices tend to kind of absorb back into it. And I was like, I gotta lay down. And I literally just covered everything up, put it in the cooler, came back in here, and I took a nap for I don't know how many hours. When I got up, it was great. The food was great. The pork butt had a pink ring in it, like a good, almost a half an inch. It was amazing. And my wife and my stepson were eating it, and they were like, oh my God, this is so good. And I was like, yeah, I know, right? And that's the whole reason why I got this grill. I wanted to be able to do something sort of extra, something, you know, getting into cooking. I've been getting into more of, you know, what can I do that's a little special? What can I do that's exceptional? Is there something that I can learn? And, you know, learning just takes effort. And again, it all goes back to Mom saying, you know, you can't do anything if you don't do nothing. So do something. Like Casey Neistat says, action over intent. You can intend to do a lot of things, but until you take action to it, it never, ever, ever happens. So, I did it. And I'm getting good at it. And I gotta clean my grill, and I didn't get a chance to clean my grill, but I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. I did get to watch a little bit of football today. If you guys watched any football, some pretty interesting football games on. I watched Carolina just throw away a 17-point lead to lose to Florida. Congratulations, Florida. You have a better team. We apparently don't know how to call plays in the second half of a football game. Yeah, I watched Oklahoma beat Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had a chance to win, and they screwed up. Interestingly, I looked at Purdue today, just to highlight of the score, and I noticed that Purdue lost today, a game they honestly should have won. They have beaten 2 ranked teams this year, and then they lose to an unranked team, and it's like, really? They're 5-5, and they've beaten 2 ranked teams, high-ranked teams. They beat Ohio State in Ohio State. Purdue. The Boilermakers. Not typically known for their football team. Well, Purdue. It is now 8 o'clock at night, and Georgia is playing Auburn on TV, and I kind of want to watch that game because Auburn always plays Georgia super tough, and it's always considered one of the loudest games to ever attend, and I want to watch it. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I wish all of you well. I didn't really give you anything about stuff I heard. I will tell you something I heard. Go check out Bert's podcast on the Bertcast. He interviews Joe Coy. I gotta quit trying to talk so fast I skip over my words. That's how I got into stuttering when I was a kid. I realized that I was trying to talk too fast, and I would just blur words and have to repeat them over and over. Joe Coy. He is a Filipino-American comedian. He has a special on Netflix that is hilarious. He's getting ready to record another special on Netflix soon. He is incredible. He is funny, funny, funny. And apparently he just did a WTF with Mark Maron. If you don't know, Mark Maron is a comedian who has his own podcast, WTF, which stands for What the Fuck, obviously. But apparently Mark is one of those guys that asks you about where did you come up, where did you come from, tell me your history. And he invites people to tell their secrets and talk about it and air it out and kind of, get some therapy with it. And Mark has a great podcast. The first half of every podcast, though, he basically has a monologue where he talks, kind of like I'm talking to you guys. And then the second half is the interview. I have not listened to the WTF with Joe Coy, but Bert has, and Bert says it's amazing. Now, I've listened to some things Bert says is amazing, like some of his favorite bands, and I don't agree. But when he says that a podcast is good, Bert is a podcast aficionado. Bert listens to a lot of podcasts because he travels a lot. Whenever he gets on a plane, he says he pops the headphones in and he listens to a podcast. He says that way he can kind of get over his anxiety of flying. I do the same thing. Whenever I'm in my vehicle, I don't listen to music, I listen to podcasts. And he says that one's good. So I'm actually going to go download that one and listen to it. The interview that he does with Bert is great. It is great. You got to check it out. It's awesome. It just came out this past Tuesday. It's really good. I'm listening to Bert's wife's podcast, Wife of the Party, right now, and she's talking about a trip that she took with one of her friends to Vietnam. Bert's wife is interesting at times. My wife likes her podcast, and I like some of her podcasts. I like the fact that she got me into podcasting through talking about the Anchor app and talking about how to make it. And I will forever be indebted to her. If this thing ever grows to anything, I will forever say that Leanne Kreischer is the one that got me started. She's the one that showed me how to get it done. So thank you, Leanne. But there's a lot of podcasts that she does. It's just girl time. She has, her girlfriends come in and they do a podcast together and they talk about a lot of girl stuff, which is why my wife likes listening to it. Stuff about kids and stuff about raising kids and stuff about, depression and working out and stuff like that. And it's just not my thing. I love the one she did with Bert. And this one I'm liking. I'm already started listening to it. I'm about 20 minutes into it, and she's talking about her trip to Vietnam, and it's already really interesting. So I'm going to keep listening to that one. And that's it. That's all I got. If you got anything, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram, JATATPEEK. You can find me on YouTube, Joshua Peak. You can email me at stuffiheardpodcast@gmail.com. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, hey, there's this guy I listen to. He's really weird. You'll like him. If you want to have some input about what it's like to be a man, what it's like to raise young men, let me know. Yes, Mom, I know that you'll let me know. Thank you. So, I love you. I love you all. Thanks. Bye.